shape what?
Reality.
Images shape what?
Reality.
Okay, so if you're getting imagery that you're supposed to look like this, look like that, look like this, you start to feel uncomfortable in yourself. You start to feel uncomfortable in yourself, and you read on any of their biographies. They'll tell you they've got low self-esteem. They'll tell you they've got poor self-concept of who they are. Now, I don't want my daughter listening to somebody that's got poor self-esteem. I don't want my daughter listening to somebody that wants to degrade themselves. So if you're degrading yourself and you're happy to degrade yourself, then what message are they putting out to you? So even though you might not be like thinking, oh, but I don't act like Nicki Minaj, but her imagery still stays there. Because if I tell you to close your eyes right now and think of a song that Nicki Minaj did, I can guarantee it's some big whining and some foolishness that she's doing right now. Okay, so images shape what? Reality. Images shape what?
Reality.
So even though you know it's a negative image, it's in where? It's in your subconscious mind. So when you're in a situation, possibly your subconscious mind comes into play. So when you see violence, when you see people engaging in a certain way, your subconscious mind kicks in. Because you're taught a certain way, and you're going to behave a certain way depending on the imagery that you get. Anybody's done martial arts? What is martial arts for? To teach you what? Self-defense. So every day you're doing the same old move. I think, oh, this is boring. Why my mum keeps sending me that? Guaranteed that one day someone runs up on you and tries to lick you, you go. And you're thinking, wow, how did I do that? How did you manage to do that? How did you manage to do that? Why? Because it was logged in your subconscious mind. So like those nursery rhymes, like your A, B, C's and D's, like maths, and certain things that you possibly don't do now, I can guarantee if I ask you something that you was asked in primary school, majority of you will remember, because it's logged where? So don't ever think that when you're watching the news, when you're watching the media, when you're watching TV, you're listening to certain music, and you're seeing certain types of people on the TV, that they're not projecting that imagery, and that's not lodging in your mind. And if you're listening to that stuff hours and hours on end, you're playing games, and you're listening to the same kind of music, it's going to do something to your mind.
So what about subliminal messages?
That's where the imagery is, subliminal messages. So that's what I'm saying. Nicki Minaj is not going to say to you, oh, I've got low self-esteem. No, I don't want you to look like that, but they're going to act a particular way. So you're going to think, yeah, man, I like this. And then 2 2s, you know, let me just change my hair. And then 2 2s, people look like that. And then you justify why you look like that. But why? Because I don't feel like I'm beautiful. I'm not happy with my nose. I'm not happy with the way my cheekbones are. But where are you getting those images to tell you that it's wrong? Who told you that it was wrong? Because God created every single one of us unique, correct? So who else is to tell us that your image and the way you are is wrong? So when boys talk to you a certain way, and when girls treat each other a certain way, know what's possibly going on in their subconscious mind. Because images shape what?
Reality.
Images shape what?
Reality.
Images shape what?
Reality.
All right then. Okay. How are little brothers and sisters in our communities getting on? You don't really hear about it, do you? You don't hear about it? But sometimes in that aftermath, there is a thing called trauma. Anybody heard the word trauma before? What do you reckon trauma is? Come on, I need another psychologist in the building. What's trauma?
Is it when something was so bad that it just scares your subconscious mind? Does it stay in there and it just torment?
Okay. I think we've got a few doctors in here, possible prospects, PhDs, psychologists in the building. Brilliant. That's what trauma is. So you're impacted by a experience, a harsh experience, and in psychology it says you do 3 things. Do you know what those 3 things are? Go on.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, does anybody know what the 3 things you do when you're affected by a traumatic experience? I run up on you right now. What do you do? What did she do? What did she do? She got shook, so that's 1, so she got shook. What else would you possibly do in a traumatic experience? No, so she got shook, what else would you possibly do? Yeah, possibly react. What's the 3rd one that you possibly do? Run. Okay, so in trauma, psychologists say that there's 3 things you do. It's called fight, flight, and freeze. Fight, flight, and freeze.
Do you know what to do like?
3 things that you always do in a traumatic experience. Regardless who you are, what you look like. If I was to run up on you now 5 minutes ago, if I said to you, oh, Craig's going to run up on you, you might say, nah, no, he's not. I'm not scared. But when I ran up on you, though, you didn't know what you was going to do, did you? Okay. So for some people that are impacted by the hype, the aftermath is that they're affected by some form of trauma. Now, what would that possibly look like? Because trauma stores where? In your subconscious mind. So, if I ran upon you like that and you was frozen, and you was traumatized, I can't sleep, I can't eat properly, because Craig did that to me and I'm so frightened. What would possibly happen if somebody was to run upon you again and scream?
You know what to do. Freeze.
Possibly. What else would you possibly do? You might attack and react. So that means your senses, if you got senses, touch, yeah? You got senses. Your senses might be heightened because you don't want it to happen again. You don't want it to happen again. So you don't want no one to frighten you like that again. So because you don't want someone to frighten you again, you might then say, you know what? I'm going to make sure I've got something to what? To defend, to attack. And all of those different things. So what I'm doing with you now, if you've noticed, I've gave you a little tour on criminology and psychology and a little bit of sociology. So you see the process, how it starts off so trivial, how it can just be so simple as students, young people that are not involved in anything, that can be impacted by so many different things going on in our society. So much imagery, so much experiences. We hear something at school, we hear something on the road, we hear something on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Someone's got something to say. Someone wants to disrespect you. Someone's saying something on the bus. Someone's looking at you a certain way. And you're getting all of this at one time. And some young people, and some people can't cope. And as you all said, brilliant. Some people go into alcohol, drinking, to take the what away? The thought away. Why? Because the subconscious mind is constantly repeating. So close your eyes again. Do you all remember that image that I showed you of the man in the beginning? Why do you all remember it? I showed it to you an hour ago.
The one with the stab on the belly.
Oh, the one with the
Still in your mind. So some people, not all, some people turn to drink. Some people turn to drugs, pills, hard drugs, in order to take the thought away. Some people, like you've just said, in terms of attacking, goes to violence, drugs, guns, knives, because they don't want to face that reality ever again. So when these incidents happen in our communities, what about all of the people that were there that possibly witnessed it? What do they think? And that's dangerous, isn't it? That if you think that violence in Handsworth, in Hockley, Winson Green, Acots Green, Moseley, Smallheath, anywhere, if you think that's normal, that's wrong. Because I want to tell you something. When I do these types of sessions in Solihull and Sutton Coldfield, people cry. Why do you reckon they cry? And why none of you cried? Because they're not used to it. So that means that the imagery that they're receiving is what? Possibly. Possibly new. Possibly.
They cry in the city.
Because that's not the reality that they possibly hear about or see every day. So it's actually quite scary that when you're working with 14, 15, 16-year-olds, and then when they see these things, yeah, you might go, oh, but it hasn't made you cry. Because for some people, it's like people really go through this stuff. So that shows where our minds are. And when you just mention that idea of subliminal messages, something has been projected to say that, you know what, this is okay, this is normal. It just happens in the ends. These things are normal. This just happens.
I mean, like saying the word nigger.
Possibly. So you hear that in the music over and over and over and over again. So you hear people saying it on the bus now. When you don't even realize where the word came from and what it meant and who used it and what for.
And people died
And people,
to stop other people from calling them.
brilliant, millions of people died because of that usage of the word, or people used that word whilst they kidnapped, they murdered, and they hurt people. But now, 2015, you hear it in the music every day. So what do people think it's what? It's normal. Because what has the music done? Shaped what?
Reality.
And where is that stored? In your subconscious mind. So it's there. So even though